you like growing up in
Craigan. Well, my first memories of Craigan probably were when I was about 6, 7. I would say I was probably bossy. I was the oldest.
Very active. Would have been sporty, funny, kind of comedian.
What was Trisha like?
She was cried. She cried a lot.
That's not what she said. She said she was a comedic.
Well, she was funny. She was funny, but she was always looking for my stuff. So she always cried to get everything. So she would have cried a lot. That's what I remember of her anyway.
How did you feel whenever you found out that you were pregnant?
Really nervous. I was the first person in the house in the family to fall pregnant. I wasn't married and I wasn't too sure what way the relationship was going to go. So I was actually really nervous and decided to put it off for as long as I could, telling anybody. And I put it off that long that after my first appointment, my first scan, they sent out information about everything that was coming ahead, and what I was involved in all the other appointments to come. And they sent me out an appointment to come to the hospital for my first scan. And my mommy actually opened the letter and she's all, "Oh, you got a job in Alton Galvin and antenatal?" And I was all, "Really?" And it was actually April Fool's Day. So whenever I says to her, "Mommy, reread that again," oh, she says, "You're having me on. It's an April Fool." And I was all, "No, I'm pregnant." So it was terrifying.
Did you ever feel a big shock when she was the first one to have the baby?
Oh, I definitely. But it was just shock. She was very young too. I knew my mommy would have been shocked as well. So I was afraid for her. But Granny took it really well, so she was grand. She was okay.
It's everybody else's reaction. I was happy to be pregnant. I was excited, but it's everybody else's reaction you sort of depend on for support and to gauge you. And the reaction was, I think, a shock more than anything from Mommy.
You two are both kind of closer in age.
Oh, we are. We were 3 years between us two. She's 3 years younger than me.
She told me that you found out on a night out in Buncrella.
She was. She told me. She thought she was. She wasn't. She didn't know for sure until that week. We came back and we did a test then to confirm that she was.
Who was the first person?
I think I actually told Marguerite first. I was out with Marguerite and we were in Buncrana at a nightclub, and I wasn't 100% sure if I was actually pregnant or not, but I felt ill whenever I was there, and I realised I was pregnant whilst I was out. So it was kind of on the night out. Actually, it dawned on me then, and I was like, "Oh my God, I need to get home." So, well, I was very young, 19, so I didn't really grasp the enormity of it. I was afraid. There was guilt, there was shame, there's a whole load of different things when you're not married and your relationship was in the unknown, and people always put the negative first instead of the positive. So it was scary. It was scary. But whenever the shock wore off for everybody, everybody was excited then. And it was the first grandwin in the house too. And everybody just absolutely adored her. So, in the initial moment of saying, I'm pregnant, everything runs through your head. And you do feel it, you do feel the guilt and the shame and the excitement and the love and everything. But it's one of them things you have to adapt to.
Do you remember the first time you ever fell in love?
I think I was about 16. I thought I fell in love. So I think your first love, lasted for a summer, I think. Well, put it like this, what do you call that song? Gareth Brooks, Thank God for Unanswered Prayers. That kid comes to mind. The one that got away, thankfully. So, but I still remember his name. He finished with me actually as well.
Why did you finish with me?
I don't know. It was funny.
For another
Well, it
reason.
wasn't funny at the time. I was devastated, so it was. I remember being heartbroken. Oh, well, you didn't really tell anybody. You weren't really allowed to be going with boys when you were 16. You would have get killed. So you didn't tell anybody.
I do, I do remember the first time I ever fell in love.
What did it feel like?
It was exciting. Butterflies in your stomach. Forward thinking, you know. You were married already before you just, you know, went on your first date even. And excitement, you know, and you just pictured this person as the best person ever. But I think it was more based on looks-wise,
Yeah.
how somebody looked.
Attraction.
Not how you were being treated or all the things that you look for now as an adult. I would have been 15. 15.
His name.
Vaguely, but I'm not giving names.
No, I'm not name drop. Do you remember the first time you really felt like a grown-up, especially in your womanhood?
I don't think you really do. No, I would sort of feel young at heart anyway. Probably becoming a mommy. When I was 30, I had you. Well, 29, 30. You were born in January and I was 30 in the May. So I think you kind of grow up overnight when you have a child. So I kind of would have been that one. Or buying my first house as well. But you still didn't feel like a grown-up.
I had to pay all the bills and I was living in my own house. I felt like an adult then. Felt like I was holding down a job, running a house, looking after a child. That's when you feel like an adult. That's when you know, right, I have to actually stand on my own 2 feet and look after somebody else as well. It's not to say that it's just because I was a parent. It was just that it felt like I was an adult. I got my first home whenever I moved out of my mum's house and into my own home. That's when I felt grown up.
A grown-up woman.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel the first time you found out you were pregnant, and where were you?
I was actually in the orthodontist. I was getting my braces on, and I was going into the town afterwards to get a pregnancy test. And I done a pregnancy test and found out it was positive. On the same day I got my braces in, so that's how I remember. The 15th of May, actually. It was the day after my birthday. So that's the day I found out I was pregnant with you.
Did you get your braces off after?
No. I had them on the whole time. I was pregnant.
How did you prepare yourself for pregnancy as a young mother, and how did you tell your family and friends?
Well, it was kind of like we were married for 4 years already, so it was kind of everybody was delighted. It was like you got asked the same question at least once a week. Whenever I finally got pregnant, everybody was delighted. You can't, not that I felt pressured about it. No, I didn't feel pressured, but it was. You get asked the question a lot, especially working with the public as well. So you had the same clients on all the time asking you the same thing. Or if you hadn't seen them in a few weeks, they were asking you when they came on again. Well, it was actually because my friend couldn't have any children, so she would have got it as well. And then I think they stopped kind of asking when they kind of jibbed on that she still hadn't had any whenever I had one, and so it was kind of, I think they realised. But no, people do be. I don't think they mean any harm, but they just be. I think it's like as soon as you get married, it's the next question they ask you. You know, no signs of nothing yet, no word. But that's what people are. Sure, that's the way people are. You wouldn't get as much people saying it nowadays, but years ago you did. It was like expected straight away. Like people get pregnant on their honeymoon years ago. Do you know what I mean? Granny's era and stuff like that. And then they were counting the dates to see if you were pregnant before you get married and all this carry on. So they had all that kind of going on too. But no, definitely not pressure. No, I wouldn't say pressure, but yes, it was expected of you. As soon as you were married to have a child.
So in what ways did you feel different physically and mentally after giving birth and bringing home your first child?
Well, physically, You were tired for sure. You were exhausted. Mentally, you were just very protective. Worried. I was very worried. I didn't have postnatal depression or anything like that there. I was more just afraid anything happening to you, you know what I mean? Worried. Your senses were all heightened and alert and panicky would be the word. And you were very small too, remember? So you were only £4.14 when you were born. But then you settle into it. It's just new, a new thing. It's new. It's all, you're responsible for another human, you know what I mean? So
mentally, I was over the moon. I was ecstatic. I just looked at her and fell in love. Done the same thing with my second daughter as well. Just looked at her and fell in love. She was an extension of me, but it was full of possibilities of the things that were in front of her. And I remember one of the nurses saying, you know, enjoy her whenever you were walking out of the hospital. And them words stuck with me. And I intend to enjoy every minute. And I did. Every single minute, every milestone, every cry, everything. But I think more physical whenever you see yourself a certain way for such a long time and then you change just overnight going into the hospital and coming back out again, and your body shape has changed, your physical ability has changed, your stamina and energy has changed. So whenever you look at yourself and you know yourself physically, it's like how long it takes you to actually come round. So, and then you look in the mirror and you kind of don't like yourself sometimes, but you know at the end of it, you can bring your physical self back again. It's just knowing that.
I find things were different with Finn when you had that.
I was older again. I think I was 37 when I had Finn. I was definitely more tired for sure. Yep. And then he had a lot of things as well wrong. So he was allergic to protein in milk. It wasn't diagnosed for 4 months. So I was actually feeding him myself too and had to stop. He had to get like a formula from the hospital. So that was hard going because I never stopped crying for 4 months, if you can remember.
Are you frustrated with the hospital for not finding out sooner about the...
I was at the end up. I was really stressed. I took him to doctors how many times and they couldn't find nothing wrong with him. Only for the health visitor. She kind of said, we'll try this, and we did, and that was what it was. And so, but it was stressful because it was like there's nothing wrong with him. It must be something wrong with you. You're imagining it, do you know what I mean? So, no, it was, but his birth was completely different to yours.
But if you were to give advice to young Marguerite as an expectant mommy, what would you tell her?
Not to panic so much. Sort of relax a wee bit, and I probably would tell myself, but that would be it really.
As an expectant mommy, I would say drink more water. Try and sleep a wee bit better, a wee bit lighter. Don't worry about too much stuff. Enjoy the experience of being pregnant. Whatever you need will actually be there. Don't panic about getting everything in place all the time. Just take it as it comes and enjoy every minute.
That's good. Thank you so much, Patricia. Is there anything else you want to say?
No. About what?
About just pregnancy in general.
I thought it was massive, and actually looking back in them photographs, and it wasn't even massive.
Yeah.
I said to Daddy, why did I keep thinking I was massive for?
Very normal pregnant.
But that's me, you're always looking at yourself in a different way anyway. So you are.
What advice would you give to someone who's preparing for a baby?
Rest, for sure. Have a good sleep beforehand, and good rest, because it's hard work. So it is. It really is hard work.
Thank you for doing my documentary.
You're welcome.
We're going to wrap up.
Bye.